Live.
Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Seabrook. I'm a black belt, 7th degree in American Kenpo karate. I've been training for almost 35 years now, come this January. I've also trained in other martial arts, modern arnis, black dragon system kung fu, and Gracie jiu-jitsu for the past 8 years. I'm going to talk about something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, and I think it's long overdue in American Kenpo. I want to talk about sport martial arts, rank promotions, and promoting kids to black belts. Now I know this is going to be a controversial one, but I think it needs to be said, and I want to see people's input at the bottom on this YouTube, your thoughts and opinions on this very, what I would argue, important issue. The first thing I want to say is that Kenpo karate has always been a martial art for self-defense, and that's not specific to Kenpo. When we look at the history of martial arts, in fact, the word martial means warlike. If you just type in martial on Google, you'll see the word warlike. What does warlike mean? Well, warlike is not sport. So in today's martial arts environment, we are bombarded with tournament competitions. Kids get fighting other kids of their age, and if they win enough competitions, they get promoted. And what we often find is the true value of self-defense is completely gone. Martial arts was never intended for tournament competitions and tag fighting. It was never meant to see how fast you could get a kata done, to have a stopwatch and say you have to finish your kata in this much time. Martial arts was about learning how to defend yourself in a street fight situation. And that has been lost, unfortunately, in many martial arts styles, and because of my focus on Kenpo and Kenpo in particular. Today's environment is a situation where kids are getting black belts like candy. Not just junior programs, full black belts. Full black belts when martial arts is supposed to be a complete education. Could you imagine graduating someone with a university degree at the age of 8 or 9 or 10? But that's what we're doing when we promote kids to black belts at that low of an age. Sure, the instructors make a lot of money and the parents are forking out a lot of cash, but is that really what martial arts has come to? How much money you pay, how loyal you are to the martial arts school, or is it about street self-defense and teaching your children and teaching young adults and adults that take martial arts how to defend yourself in a real life situation? That's what I think is really, really important. One way you can avoid martial arts schools and making sure that you're enrolled in the proper school is to be aware of schools where kids and teens are running classes. Now, I'm a big fan of getting them involved in terms of leadership. I think that's so important for their growth. Having them hold the pads, assist with the technique, build their confidence. But if you're at a school where they're actually running classes, that's a good telltale sign that you're at a school that is very commercial and sport in nature. Sport has really very little to do with street self-defense. In fact, if the school that you're at is focused on sport, that focus is not being used to street self-defense. I remember one time recently where I was at a grocery store and ran into an individual that I didn't recognize, but he had known me from martial arts, and he said to me, he said, "Oh, how you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm doing good." And he said, "You know, our school's really thriving. We have more masters at our martial arts school than anywhere in southwestern Ontario." And I said to him, "What's a martial arts master?" He said, "Well, a martial arts master is someone who what? Well, someone who's attained a certain degree." "Well, what degree?" "Well, it's debatable, 4th degree, 5th degree, 6th degree." How do these ranks come about? How does people get promoted to these ranks? In most martial arts styles, there's very little material beyond the first few degrees of black belt. Very little material. In fact, if you think of the American Kenpo system and you follow the 24 technique system, we finish the extensions at 3rd degree black belt. Now, some schools, not all, will require long form 7 for promotion to 4th degree and long form 8 to promotion to 5th degree, and that's it. So how does one continue to get promoted to these higher degrees of black belt? Well, one way is what affiliation you belong to in terms of an organization. If you belong to an organization and you put your time in, the promotions will come. I'd argue that time in art is a lot different than time at art. It's very, very possible to be in the martial arts community for 30 years and to practice once every 2 weeks. Does that mean you're ready for promotion? How does one get promoted to these higher levels when there's not really much new skill that you're acquiring? I've seen some martial arts schools where, and I'm not exaggerating here, you get promoted to maybe 2nd or 3rd degree black belt in that particular style, and the instructor says, well, make up a sai kata. A sai kata? So how are you getting promoted in that style? What art are you getting promoted in? Certainly not the style that you were learning if you're just creating a new kata. And I'm all for the importance of creativity, but how is that a promotion? Today we live in a culture where the ranks are just so widespread, not just among teens, but about adults of senior ranks. And these ranks are becoming out of control. What's a Kenpo karate master or grand master now? Used to be a grand master was for the founder of a martial arts system or for a protege or a select few that were the highest rank. I don't even have a clue how many 10th degrees there are in Kenpo now. They're countless. I have no idea. There's names of 10th degree grand masters I've never even heard of. And I'm a 7th degree black belt with 35 years experience. And I don't know who these people are. It's time to go back to the culture of martial arts being about street self-defense and ensuring that your students have acquired the necessary skills to obtain the once very few could obtain coveted black belt. Depending on the system that you teach, in American Kenpo we have about 154 self-defense techniques. How could a 9-year-old or 10-year-old be a black belt and have mastered 154 techniques? To me, to master the techniques take a lifetime. As a black belt 7th degree, I'm still working to improve these base techniques, let alone the extensions as well. So in short, I just want to say this. It's time to move away from the promotions of kids to black belt levels and to be way more strict, not just in Kenpo, but in all areas for high levels of degrees of black belt. Thank you for listening.